All right, welcome everyone. Great to be here today. Thanks for joining me regardless. I'm Rob Tatro from robtatro.com, portfolio manager here, Canaccord Genuity Wealth Management, and at the Tatro Wealth Advisory Group. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, please take a sec to like or subscribe or share. Let's bring in our guest today right away, Jessica Morehouse. Jessica, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so Jessica Morehouse, she's a speaker. She's also a financial counselor. She runs the Mo Money podcast. She's had I think 250 or something episodes. She's been on BNN Bloomberg, CTV, CBC, and a whole bunch of other places. We're thrilled to have you. She's from not so sunny Toronto, Ontario today. No, I don't know. Is it sunny out there?
It's actually really sunny today. It may not seem like it from my room because it's very dark, but it's very sunny outside.
Let's talk further a little bit about the budgeting or the spending plan, as you call it. Do you recommend using software or apps for that, or you just kind of start with a pen and paper or an Excel spreadsheet?
Yeah, that's a good question. I am a big spreadsheet person. I love a good spreadsheet. So that is kind of what I use with my clients. And we usually use a Google Sheets spreadsheet instead of Excel so we can share it. And I think that's also great too. If you have a partner that you're budgeting with, you can create a Google Sheet spreadsheet and you could both have access to it at the same time. So super nerdy, but me and my husband do this. We have our own budget spreadsheet. It's in, Google Sheets in our Google folder. And so every month we have a little sit down, input our spending numbers, input our net worth numbers, and have a little money meeting. And we both are on our laptops and we just kind of go over, okay, what's going on here. And then when we're done the meeting, we've made our decisions or we've had our conversations about what's going on with our finances. Then we shut the laptops and we're good to go. We don't really have to talk about money that much because we had that conversation. So for going back to your question about should you use a spreadsheet or something else, it really depends on what you want to do. I've had lots of clients who are like, I really like using the program YNAB. You need a budget. I just like it. It works for me. I'm like, cool. And you do not have to use my budget spreadsheet if you want to use something else. Whatever actually will motivate you and actually get you results, that's what you should be using.
What about the couples? What about the individual who tell you, yeah, but Jessica, I need my spouse to not know about X, Y, or Z. We need to have our own little discretionary sum where I can go, right, buy Magic the Gathering cards and she can go buy whatever she's buying and we don't have to know what we're spending on that because we don't want each other to know what we're spending on that. Is that good advice or what would you say to that?
I think there's nothing wrong with, and that's a great point when it comes to budgeting as a partnership, a couple. Again, there's so many different ways you can do it. You can put all of your money together, or you can keep it completely separate, or you can do a mixture of the both, which is what me and my husband have done for years, where we have a couple, joint accounts. We have a joint savings account for some of our joint savings goals like travel and stuff like that, joint checking for our joint bills, and a joint credit card for some of our expenses. Otherwise, everything is separate, but we still share all of our numbers. And what's important is we don't really come into that budgeting meeting with no judgment. So this is my money, that's your money. We can take a look, but it's really not up to me to place judgment on what he chooses to spend his money on. Same, with my spending. And that's been really good because it gives us freedom. And then you don't want to hide anything because I feel like that could be a dangerous road, that kind of element of secrecy. I at least for, my relationship, we got no secrets and it's nice. Transparency is very important, I think. I'd say there's nothing wrong with having independent secrecy. That might be an issue. That may be where some arguments happen.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in transparency as well. And in our household, it is joint. It has been for a while. So she knows exactly where my hard-earned dollars are going. And as embarrassing as some video game purchases are or whatever they may be, but it's transparent, right? So I'm a big fan of that. But I also understand the couples that want to keep a certain percentage of the budget separate. In your videos and in your blogs, you talk a lot about the kind of steps that people need to take to try to get their financial life in order. So let's imagine someone who's struggling with either serious debt or extremely indebted or has got the creditors calling, or how do you start with that person? What do you typically start? And I mean, I imagine you'd say, start by figuring out what you can save and paying off the highest debt first and, consolidate if you can, or I don't know, I'm all ears.
Well, yeah, it's kind of a mixture. So we typically take a look at what is going on with your money now. So I want to see your net worth. I want to see where all your debts are, what's in your savings accounts, what's your investments. Let's see where your money is right now. And then we take a look at what is your actual cost of living. Let's find out, let's build that budget so we have a sense of what kind of expenses do you have and where money needs to go. And then we take a look at what are your goals and figuring out where should we save and invest, like, ideal situation. We may not focus on those, but we should lay those out so we have some kind of direction. And then we take a look at all of this information and we see what should we prioritize. And sometimes it's ultimately up to the client, but usually it's pretty clear. We need to focus on building an emergency fund, or we need to focus, because you already have that emergency fund, we need to focus on creating a debt repayment plan so we can get you out of debt sooner. Or maybe it's, well, you don't have any debt, you've got an emergency fund, but you feel like you're just not saving enough. You need to figure out a better strategy so you can save for your short-term goals and for your long-term goals. So it really kind of depends on the information we get and also what do they want in life.
How do you feel about different types of debt? For example, debt on a house. How do you feel about owning a house versus renting?
I like it, but it sure is expensive. I mean, I think one thing that
Not in Winnipeg.
Well, not in Winnipeg. I know. I should have bought there. But well, what I'd say about the expensive part is just being the homeowner, maintaining a home, depending on what kind of home you have. I mean, my experience, we've been in our place for 4 years and every major appliance is broken down. That's expensive. So that's something that we had to save up for because these things happen. As a renter, you don't have to worry about that. You can call your landlord and they fix it for you. So there's some benefits of being a renter that I definitely miss, but I do ultimately like being a homeowner. I feel more kind of settled in, our community and just like having our own space. But in terms of like a mortgage, I don't personally understand. I see a lot of people, they have this need to become mortgage free as soon as possible. And because we've been in such a low interest market for so long, I don't understand why people would want to pay off their mortgage sooner when you can probably make so much more money, build your wealth so much quicker if you were to invest that money. And that could be just, again, that's just my personal take on it because I've never really been into in debt or consumer debt. I had a student loan once. I was able to pay it off pretty quickly. And then I was debt free for a long time until we got our mortgage. So I don't have this kind of hatred towards debt. Whereas I think a lot of people that may have had situations where they were in debt in different times in their lives, they just see all debt as bad and they don't want it in their life. And so they want to pay it off as soon as possible. So, and then that's also up to you, as long as you understand the risks that are actually involved in paying down your mortgage quicker than actually investing that money instead.
What I feel I notice is with my clients anyways, is anyone who went through 80, 81, 82, the kind of aggressive spike in interest rates, and they were a homeowner back then, and maybe they had stretched themselves out too thin. They were perhaps on a variable loan back then, or maybe their mortgage came due and they had to renew at 18%, and you just can't afford to keep your home. Those are generally the types of individuals that are wanting to get rid of their debt, whereby someone like me who's always seen 5% less debt forever is less likely to be considering that interest rates could like wipe someone out. So I think that's a big thing. And I think you're right with the interest rates. And by the way, if you're wondering who to go see for an investment strategy that could dramatically beat those interest rates, go to www.speaktorob.com. We'd be happy to book a no obligation consultation with you. As our viewers know, portfolio manager here, award winning. We'd love to help you out, build you a portfolio that could well exceed the returns that you're paying on your debt. Wouldn't you say though that paying down debt comes to at the end of the day, it's basically emotions. It's basically how you feel about going to bed at night every night, knowing that, a portion of your house is not fully paid off, and how you feel about that moment when that debt is gone. Because mathematically, we all know it doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah. And that's why I think it's such an important element. Like when I work with a client and we're figuring out, okay, what do we want to do on a consistent basis? We want you to have that budget. We want you to review it regularly. We want you to track your spending so you know where your money's going. And you need to track your net worth, because I feel like without that element, you may not realize, oh, wow, actually, my net worth has increased because I'm not aggressively paying down my debt. And I'm talking about low interest debt, not high interest debt. And I'm investing my money. And so sometimes that seeing your net worth grow because you've made certain decisions will keep you confirm that you're doing maybe the right thing for you, and will be that extra motivation. That's at least for me. Like I definitely want to pay off my mortgage quicker than we're currently doing. Sure, why not? But also, I like to see those gains in my investment portfolio because it's increasing my net worth more than me paying off my mortgage quicker. But like you said, there's so much emotions involved. And that's why, when I am working with someone, I'll give them the information. I'll kind of tell them the risks, the things that they need to know. But ultimately, personal finance is personal. So it's really important for you to make the right decision for you and not let anyone sway you one way or the other if you don't feel like that's what you want to do.